quite impacted by this. But my question is this, it's probably more directed to Jenny. How can a project of this magnitude proceed without a watertight business case? In other words, it's almost like putting a bet on a horse that you've no idea where it's going to finish in the race. Is there any legal recourse that we can pursue as a possible front as well, with challenging the government?
Look, there are so many avenues we could pursue to challenge this, and I think just taking on that one and taking on the legal angle versus the direct action angle versus the EIS engagement process angle, I think we need to be happy with a diversity and a range of tactics. Like, actually, what we need is all of those tactics happening at the same time. On the legal angle, I think there's a number of things. The first is to say that there's always the option to any individual that's having a threat or a challenge happening to them to give the Environmental Defenders Office a call and raise their specific concerns, and we've seen that they have been successful in being able to achieve some good wins recently for environmental protection. But I would say that I think the main thing that I am just completely astounded by, and I know that the Lord Mayor Clover Moore has also expressed her complete shock, she's not shocked, she's been around for enough to know what goes on in New South Wales Parliament to not be shocked, but I think that has also expressed complete disbelief at the fact that this is the New South Wales government going against their own processes. So actually the Auditor General's criticism of the WestCONnex Delivery Authority and how they approached it was not based on some objective view of governance and how infrastructure projects should be delivered. It was actually based on the current New South Wales Liberal government's processes that they set themselves for how good infrastructure processes should be delivered. So actually, it's sort of, I think you're right, it's complete down the rabbit hole kind of stuff. When we're talking about $15 billion of public money, it's so much that I'm even rounding off the 0.4 in my conversation. Like, it's ridiculous. So actually what you've got is a scenario where even in just the last budget, the project increased by half a billion dollars. So it's astounding. It doesn't make sense. There is no logic to it. And at this point, I think the only thing that we can do is almost to stop attempting to pretend that we can engage in any way with a rational discussion with these people. They have some other agenda. Their agenda is to spend $15.4 billion and waste it on a dirty tollway. I don't know why, and I don't think they can justify why, so they're just going to do it anyway unless we stop them.
I'm just going to call for one final question, so I just want to make sure, sorry, that we do hear from anyone we haven't heard from first. I'm sorry, I know you've had your hand up, but I just want to make sure we get...
I just want to know what's going to happen with the petition. It's a question.
Okay, no worries. So Jenny will wrap up on that. Is that okay? Great, thank you. So we'll just come to the gentleman down the front.
Thanks. My name's John Bartholomew. I'm also from St Peters. This is talking about stopping pretending about things. I think it's time we stop pretending this is a roads project or a transport project. WestCONnex themselves has made it abundantly clear that it's the biggest transfer of public money into private hands under a shonky film of pretending it's a project. Other people have said that a lot of action may not amount to much in the short time we have left, so perhaps an injunction might be a good time to seek an injunction or get ICAC involved in this, because it's obviously corruption. It's obviously theft of public money, and it looks a lot like money laundering as well. What can we do in relation to that?
How many lawyers are there in the room? Come on. We're in Newtown, there must be a lawyer. I think what we can do, and you guys answer your own question, if you're a lawyer and you want to chat to me, there's a couple of other lawyers. I think the lawyers are getting jealous because there's a cyclists against WestCONnex. There's no reason why we can't have a lawyers against WestCONnex. So if you're a lawyer and you want to come and have a chat to me afterwards, feel free to come up and maybe we can get someone else who might be better at starting Facebook groups than lawyers. No offence to the lawyers. But if there's a Lawyers Against WestCONnex group that wants to form, if you're interested in offering some help and advice, then always happy to take extra people to build the movement. Just in relation to the petition, the plan is basically what we'll see from here is that we need to get 10,000 signatures on the petition that you see on your seats for it to be able to be tabled in the New South Wales Lower House. That will then enable us to have a debate on that petition in the Parliament. It will give us a second ability to be able to put it on the agenda of the New South Wales Parliament, keeping in mind that it's not going to be the thing that stops it, but it will build the movement and build the pressure. And so if people can take a copy of... Beg your pardon?
If there's 10,000 signatures, is it compulsory?
Yeah, it will happen.
And then a debate must happen?
Yes, it will happen on the following Thursday after the petition is tabled. So once we get 10,000, we table the petition and then it will happen.
Is there any time frame for that?
When we can get 10,000 signatures.
When we get 10,000.
So the sooner we can get it, the sooner we can have that debate on. So it gives us another chance to be able to have it on the parliamentary agenda and to put pressure on other local MPs to talk about the impact of exactly this. What is happening to this public money that is disappearing? Surely there are people in the New South Wales government Liberal Party, National Party, that are also concerned about this complete disregard for government process, but also the removal of public funds into private hands. I was going to just add in one more thing. I'm going to take the chance to say something else that's a little bit off to the side but may be relevant. If you've never done direct action before, if you've never been involved in something, there's a good chance to actually do something right now to practice. So right now, down at Port Botany, there are a number of maritime workers that have been sacked via text message. You might have read about it. There's a picket going on, a 24-hour picket. So if you've been unsure about this whole idea of direct action, or you think that it might be in the interest of a community that would like the oldest union in Australia to stand in solidarity with us down the track when it comes to stopping WestCONnex, perhaps you might want to go down there and show your connection and support to those workers on the picket line down there.
Okay. Fine.
For Botany.
What's the address?
I'll share
Details.
the Facebook I'll share the details on the Facebook page. But basically, you go down Foreshore Road, you turn down Sirius, over the Sirius Bridge. But I will share the details on my Facebook page so you know where to go.
Okay, thank you. On that note, we're now going to move to just a brief summing up from the panel members that might want to make some final comments in response to what's been said and asked. And then we'll hear from Laurie on the campaign. So just a couple of minutes if the panel members want to sum up.
I actually have the discussions that one thing that I'm always asked is what about the alternatives? So $15 billion for a motorway brings it out to about $450 million a kilometre, right? The Epping to Chatswood rail line was $200 million a kilometre for 2 lanes, and that can carry 36,000 people an hour in one direction, and the motorway will be able to carry 7,200. So we could actually build 60 kilometres or more of underground double-deck rail for the same price. Now in Melbourne, they estimate that light rail costs $30 million a kilometre. So we could actually build the 300 kilometres of light rail that used to run in Sydney for $9 million. This is the scale of the WestCONnex. But there are some simple things that I'd like to ask this meeting to support. The first is the Ron Christie proposal. Ron Christie was the former Coordinator General of the Rail, who said that there should be every single train stopping at Newtown Station. None of these Southern Line trains should run express through Newtown because most of the passengers who go to Newtown come from out west or from the city, and a lot of people on those trains going into the city to come back out. So we should support more trains at Newtown Station. And which was the second point. More trains overall. There are 2 clearways that weren't built Now, Ron Christie, when he did his report in 2003 for the government, when you adjust for inflation, estimated that these two amplifications, to take them from 4 tracks to 6 tracks, would cost $400 million for both. And that would allow us to run 24,000 people an hour on the Inner West Line. $400 million. And the other recommendation that keeps on coming out of the Institute for Sustainable Futures in the UTS is to re-signal the train network to allow 30 trains an hour. The actual cost of that is a little hazy, but that will be a lot less than $15 billion. So basically, if we get more trains in the system, we get thousands more people who can travel around, and that means people will be less likely to use their cars.
I've said a lot. I don't need to say more. I'm happy.
Okay. Looks like the panellists are all passing on any additional comments. So Laurie, are you good to speak to the campaign?